Well, welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in studio is Jimmy Banish. He is the Chief Operating Officer of the Bear Factory. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Rob. Appreciate it.
So, Jimmy, over the last year, I've gotten to know you a lot better as we've worked together on kind of some of your podcasting things and just some inner workings at the Bear Factory. And you guys have an amazing company and an amazing story. So
Thank you.
I want to try and back out of this as much as I can and let you tell the story. Because, you know, what Jerry, and that's the founder, has created there and what you've come into and built has been just an amazing, you know, it's definitely a book-worthy story. So I want to let you start at the beginning and just kind of paint the picture of where the Bear Factory started and where it is now.
Yeah, so we're the Bear Factory. It was founded by my mother and father-in-law, Jerry and Renee McLean, back in 2001. And we're essentially formerly was one of the best kept secrets of the plush industry, just because when the company was originally founded, we're strictly business to business, wholesale Stuff-A-Plush experiences. And when the company was originally founded, what we really focused on, or what Jerry and Renee really focused on, specifically was helping build up the brands of all these attraction facilities and locations and amusement parks throughout North America. So by best kept secret, if you were going to an attraction and there was a Stuff-A-Plush experience, there's a good chance that the Bear Factory had the creative and quality of manufacturing paws behind the whole operation, pardon my pun. But that's kind of how we operated for 15 years. Like, there was no marketing, there was no outbound sales or anything like that. The way that people would find the company was the little sewn in tag on the bottom of the compliance tag on the bottom of these plushies. So Jerry did a phenomenal job with Renee with regards to design, quality, and innovation for a really long time. And where I kind of come into the picture is that Kia and I are actually high school sweethearts, met on MySpace back in late 2006, classic asked her out at midnight. Our official dating date was like 1/1/07.
Did you put her in your top 5 first before you asked her out? Or
it like escalated. She found me through, like, I was on a friend's top 8. So like my friend and her friend went to Catholic Central together. We started dating. We've been together ever since. And I was actually raking bunkers over at Oak Point for my first job when I was 16. And Jerry asked me the next summer, he's like, hey, do you want to come and work over at the Bear Factory? I'll pay you $10 an hour, which was like, oh my gosh, I was making $7.40 over at Oak Point raking bunkers. Like, I'll definitely do that. So my second job ever was, working on the floor, pulling orders, just doing the nitty gritty of what the business was. But in that experience, I actually didn't want to work at the Bear Factory. So I graduated from Heartland High School. Kia graduated from Howell High School in 2009. We both went to Clear University, pursued some associate's degrees in business administration. School really wasn't our thing, so we both left, and I actually went over to the Legacy Center and did sales and marketing there, and that's where I originally got cued in with the Brighton Chamber. But throughout this time that I was exploring and learning and educating myself, Legacy was like my true college education. Throughout those 5 years, Kia was getting deployed and mentored by Jerry over at the Bear Factory. And it was in 2018 where Jerry had asked for me to come over to the Bear Factory. And at that point in time, I was pretty burnt out and looking for an opportunity. And the conversation that we had was, I asked him, I said, hey, if I come over, like, I don't want to run the same Bear Factory operation that we always had. Like, I would like to upgrade our ride and learn the industry and take it to new places. And he goes, I'm open to having those conversations, but you need to listen first. And I said, I'm all board. I'm all game. Like, Jerry's very successful, and we badger each other all the time on our podcast, Positive Impact. And we always talk about how I spend the money and he pays the bills. And we have, Jerry's one of my best friends. And that's what's fantastic too, is that Jerry and Renee and Key and I, we're all best friends. And unfortunately in 2019, we lost Renee to a cancer journey. But it was that moment where originally when I came over, we'd always actually talked about revitalizing the business and then selling it 4 or 5 years into it. But throughout that moment, the business became less about numbers and became more about legacy and integrity and taking what Renee had built and carrying it forward. And that cuts to kind of where we are today. You know, I had a marketing background, so I wanted to bring the Bear Factory out of being the best kept secret in the plush industry and building brand equity so people know who the Bear Factory is and they want the Bear Factory at their properties and locations for their Stuff a Plush experiences. And there's a lot that we've done from a sustainability standpoint. You know, we've transitioned over 80% of our line. Our plush line is now made with recycled fabric. You know, a fingerprint that Kia and I have taken and put on the company as second generation owners, and still paying tribute and homage to where we originally were founded and came from. And I'm very fortunate to still have the ability to have Jerry as part of the company, and, you know, still learning so much from him as we look at new endeavors. And Kia's amazing with regards to, I make all these promises to people and Kia makes sure that we fulfill on those promises. So we have an amazing dynamic that I'm very appreciative of. And, you know, we're very proud to be Michigan-based, family-owned and operated. Next year will be our 25th year in business.
Yeah. In getting to know the dynamic between you and Jerry, it's so interesting how well you two work together and how there never seems to be, you have differences of opinion, but they fit together so well. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've learned in listening to Jerry and kind of his story, and just how much of a quick start he is when he sees an idea and he's ready to execute it. And I think that's where he does a good job vetting and facilitating things. And then when you bring these things up, he's quick to jump on them. Mm-hmm. And then also quick to give an opinion when he disagrees. But what's interesting is, you know, if I remember correctly, the story of where everything started was he had just seen this being done and he's like, I want to go and do that.
Yeah, they were up in Mackinac City. I believe it's still there. It's Mackinac Build Your Own Bear. And Jerry was off walking around, and Renee and Kia was like 8 years old at the time. They just like disappeared. And Jerry was like looking for him, and he always says there's this line out the door of some shop. So he like goes in there, and come to find there's little Kia and Renee stuffing a bear. And we actually have pictures that Jerry took from that particular day, which is, we uncovered those a couple of years ago, which is awesome to find, just to have. I've been trying to create like an index of the last 25 years of, you know, imagery, pictures. There's no video or anything, but, you know, trying to build that history story to have, you know, an index. And that's such a pinnacle moment where it's that true entrepreneur's mind where he sees something, he says, hey, I can do that, but I can do it better. Yeah. And then fast forward, you know, 24, 25 years later, here's where we're at. And, you know, me as a son-in-law and Kia as his daughter are going to be taking over the business. We've been managing it the way we've been managing it, growing it together, the three of us, the way that we've been growing it. It's something that we wish Renee could have seen, but she was there for the first year, which is amazing because she was really happy. She was really happy that we were all working together. We wish she could have been here to see the new building that we've moved into and just all the things that we've done. But we know she's still looking down on us, and it's definitely paying respect to what they built as a family. And, you know, now we have our daughter, Araya, who's going to be almost 3 years old in a month or two now. And we want to build the business so that's here for another 25 years. And if she earns the opportunity to take it over, I would like the business to be there for that opportunity.
Yeah. And there's just been such a beautiful foundation built by, you know, Renee and Jerry, and then, you know, you guys picking it up and, you know, carrying that torch. It's just such an amazing story. And if anyone hasn't listened, go back and listen to Positive Impact, you know, Jimmy and Jerry's podcast. And that whole story is in there, and it's a story worth listening to. And if you're an entrepreneur or getting started or just looking at, you know, how something is built meticulously well over time, that podcast does an exceptional job at telling that story.
Yeah, Jerry's very private. You know, he doesn't like to share a lot, where then you have me who's, you know, digital comms, marketing, who's just like, let's do a podcast and talk about all these things that you've done, because I've heard these amazing stories that you've told behind closed doors. And, you know, getting him out there, I think, helps him relive some of those early days a little bit, yeah, which is a great reminder of the wins. Because, you know, this year we've been struggling with the whole trade war and tariffs and things like that, and it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day. So just remembering some of those sweet memories, I think, can help you get through the tough times. And it sets the stage to have even more, sweet memories and more wins down the road, even though you might be struggling in that moment.
Yeah, that's well said. Now, for the Bear Factory, just for listeners, it's not the type of thing where you can go in and pick one up off the shelf and check out, right?
Right. We supply everything nose to tail, as far as what you'd need to be able to establish your own Stuff with Plush experience. We don't do any type of retail. It's our customers who do the retail. So you'll find us at zoos and aquariums. You'll find us at all different types of attractions, theme parks throughout North America. You'll find us overseas as well. We do a lot of agro-tourism with like farmers and things like that too, holiday type stuff, Santa's workshop. So definitely if you have plushies that are somewhere in a closet, or if you have children who have plushies, definitely go and check the bottom tag. Usually somebody has a Bear Factory item in their house. They just never knew where it came from, or they just have the memory associated, which is what we want. They have the memory associated with where they stuff that plushie. And that's what's most important, because we are experiential retail and we want to create that long-lasting memory.
My kids have a couple Bear Factory items, and I will say the quality difference is insane. Like, a Bear Factory bear compared to a bear off the shelf at Meijer.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a quality difference. And, and I've seen now people post on social media, Bear Factory, things that they've had since damn near the beginning. Still look great. You know, and that's what's so cool about it, is you guys put so much time in. It's not like, oh yeah, this will just be okay. One thing I know about you is you're not, it's a just okay guy. No. You obsess over every detail, and that can be a good and bad thing. But in this case, quality control is so important to you. And I've seen that firsthand. That's such a great thing to have. And that's why the quality is what it is when it comes to Bear Factory items.
Yeah. People hold on to these for 15, 20 years. And it's ironic because last week, Araya has a couple of plushies, 2 specific ones that are not Bear Factory. They're other brands, and they just kind of get gross, over time. She sleeps with them every night, takes them everywhere. And Kia was sitting there trying to figure out how to, restore them. And she looked it up, got these, certain brushes, and she's sitting there for, 30 minutes just brushing out these gross plushies. And she goes, this is the most on-brand thing that I have ever done. And I'm like, well, depending on how it goes, we should do a video about trying to show people how they could restore their plushies or whatever. And, Araya will have those for, they look like that, and she's had them for not even 3 years. She's going to have them for a lot longer than that. And just making sure that you have a product that stand the test of time, it's going to help with just people don't feel the need maybe necessarily to have 30 plushies. Maybe they only need 15. Kind of thing. So there's definitely a reduce mentality, which follows very much in line with us. We want to make it about quality over quantity, but at the same time, Araya has 15 plushies that she just constantly cycles through anyways, just because we go to different places and there's different memories that are associated with them. But quality is really key, especially when you're dealing in memories and emotions the way that we do with a product.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to touch on with regard to that is how environmentally conscious you guys are with repurposing things for animals. I know this was a really good discussion the 3 of us had when we were talking about how the environmental line was rolled out. And maybe you can just share a minute or two on that story. Yeah,
so one of my big first swings that Jerry allowed was the incorporation of using recycled fabric. So historically, we use virgin polyester fabrics, it's essentially a plastic product, polyester. So we use our PET, which is recycled polyester, now for our Plush for the Planet line. But when we first looked at rolling out that Plush for the Planet line, Jerry said, all right, you can take 3 items because the cost to do this is about 40% more. I don't think we're going to be able to have the same type of margins on this at a wholesale level. So we're going to have to price it competitively, where it's going to be more than our signature collection is what we call it, is our virgin line. It's going to have to be priced competitively, and you need to be a little bit higher than that. But, even if we take lower margins on it, let's just see how it goes. You're really passionate about it. At that point, we had changed all of our packaging over throughout the facility, removed traditional plastic bag liners to compostable alternatives, and just tried to really reduce the amount of plastic use we were using. So naturally, moving it into the product line was the next step. So we put it into production, was super jazzed. Everything was going good. We closed out 2019, and then the line was in production, and it shows up June 2020, like right amidst lockdown, the absolute worst time that you'd ever want to do like a product release for anything. Like we were sneaking in because we weren't supposed to be home. Like we were going into work, because if we didn't, the company was going out of business. I don't know who was ordering Plush during lockdown, but people were still ordering Plush, and we were still fulfilling orders. FedEx was still picking up, so we were there. But what the blessing in disguise was, we hit serious supply chain issues, which everyone remembers in 2021, 2022. And as we were just running out of stock on these items, I just started transitioning over out of stock items from the Virgin to the Plush for the Planet line. And the pricing, since we were starting to order larger batches of these fabrics, you have to order like 4 times the amount than traditional Virgin to hit certain price points. Because we started incorporating like fabrics across multiple SKU sets, we were able to start bringing that pricing down a bit so we could actually hit the margins that we wanted. But the line was definitely created not with profits in mind. Yeah, you got to be in business and turn a profit in order to continue to do these types of passion projects. But at scale is when we actually were able to start to still hit our margins that we were hitting.
Yeah.
And we were the only ones doing it. We were the first build your own, stuff your own Plush line made with recycled fabrics in the whole entire world. Nobody was doing it. And even today, most Plush companies that you might see that are recycled, it's just the inside stuffing that is recycled. Not many companies actually do the material, the fabric that's on the shell of the Plush.
That's one thing, and you guys have different displays, and I know those are in different areas, whether it's the trailer or the retail displays, but it shows how many water bottles are make up a particular Plush, and it's just really cool to see that entire focus, and it's reusing things for an exceptional purpose, and that's what I've always loved about the business, and specifically that thread of it is just how neat that is that you've been able to do all of that.
Yeah, we feel we're in a unique position because we work with kids, and because it is an emotional buy and memory. It creates like almost like core memories for kids.
Yeah.
So what we do and really promote is that there's some sort of educational opportunity, whether it's about land stewardship or animal conservation. We really like to try to push and create educational content materials for our customers to be able to share with parents and kids during their experience, because being able to say, hey, did you know that when one of these Plush for the Planet items is filled, it's the equivalent of 15 plastic water bottles mitigated out of landfills every year? Why don't you come over and check out how we actually do that process? We take this, and there's setups that we have, educational stations that kids can touch the different resin, and we have an animation that a little cartoon that walks them through what that process looks like at a high level. And it's just like a really great, unique opportunity to teach kids a really valuable lesson with regards to just, we're the United States, we're consumerism based. It's just like more. Well, we're getting into the point where, at least with millennials, like we're very much an experience driven generation, but we're also an educated consumer. So we want to know that our purchase is not going to be harming, but possibly mitigating or contributing to our green spaces, to our waterways. We're here in Michigan, like we're very passionate about our waterways, specifically like harmful algal blooms, as well as PFAS, and specifically Line 5 in the Straits of Mackinac and the closure of that because of what's being leached out into Lake Michigan and the threat opportunities there. So just, everything that we do, we try to be intentional, and that's why we, coin ourselves as the Conscious Plush Company. We want to be very intentional and conscious with every aspect of the company and what we do with it. Yeah,
I love that. Well, Jimmy, I certainly appreciate you making the time today to come in and walking everyone through that wonderful story. And if, like I said, if people want to know more, I think the podcast is a great place to start. And I know thebearfactory.com has all the things as well.
Yep, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks,
great.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I certainly appreciate you watching. If you want to know more about updates from the Chamber, please subscribe to the YouTube channel for all the future updates we'll be going through there. Apart from that, we'll catch you next week with a new episode. Take care.